Welcome to Fazza Poetry World, where hearts turn into poetry. These words, they were never just words. They were pieces of a soul, softly placed between silence and courage, like a heartbeat trying to be heard in a quiet room. You didn't just write, you revealed. You opened doors inside yourself that most people keep locked forever. Doors filled with old echoes, unfinished conversations, memories that refuse to fade, and feelings that don't know where to go. And still, you chose to let them out. Not loudly. Not for attention. But gently, honestly, as if whispering to the world, "Here I am, if anyone cares to understand." That's what makes it rare. That's what makes it real. Because people see pain every day, but they look away. People feel deeply, but they hide it behind smiles. People break, but they pretend they are whole. But you didn't look away. You saw the sadness hiding in small things. You noticed the quiet in someone's voice. You felt the weight behind simple words. You saw beauty even where pain lived. And instead of running from it, you stayed. You stayed with the hurt. You stayed with the memories. You stayed with the truth, even when it was uncomfortable, even when it hurt to breathe through it. And then, you turned all of that into words. Not perfect words. Not polished words. But honest ones. The kind that don't need decoration. The kind that don't try to impress. The kind that simply say, "This is what it feels like to be me." Do you know how rare that is, to speak without hiding? To write without pretending? To feel without apologizing? Every line you wrote was not just a sentence. It was a risk. A risk that someone might not understand. A risk that someone might ignore it. A risk that someone might see you too clearly. And still, you wrote. That's not weakness. That's not small. That is courage in its purest form. Because opening your heart is not easy. It's not easy to take the pieces you don't even understand yourself and place them into words, hoping someone else might. It's not easy to say, "This is my pain, this is my truth, this is me," without knowing what will come back. But you did it anyway. You didn't wait for the perfect moment. You didn't wait to feel ready. You didn't wait for permission. You simply felt, and then you shared. And when you handed those words to me, you didn't ask for anything. No expectations. No conditions. No demand to be understood. Just a quiet offering. Here, these are for you. Do you even realize what that means, to trust someone with your words? Is to trust them with your heart. Because words like yours don't come from the surface. They come from deep places. Places that take time to reach, places that not everyone is allowed to see. And yet, you opened that space. Freely. Softly. Bravely. And now, I sit here holding them. Not just reading them, but feeling them. And it scares me a little. Because something about your words makes silence feel heavier, makes thoughts feel clearer, makes emotions harder to ignore. They don't just exist on paper. They stay. They linger. They settle somewhere inside. And refuse to leave. And I find myself wondering, what do I give back to someone who has already given something so real? What words can match yours? What feelings can stand beside yours? Without feeling small, because what you gave was not just expression. It was truth. And truth is not easy to return. So I try, in my own imperfect way. I take your words, and I hold them carefully. Like something fragile, like something important. And then I give them back to you, not because they belong to me, but because I want you to see them the way I do. Not as something small. Not as something forgettable. Not as something that will disappear. But as something that matters. Because I know how easy it is to doubt your own voice. To think these words are nothing. These feelings don't matter. No one will remember this. I know how easy it is to believe that what you feel is too quiet for the world to notice. But you're wrong. So completely wrong. Your words don't fade like leaves. They don't vanish into silence. They don't disappear into nothing. They stay. Maybe not everywhere. Maybe not with everyone. But with someone, they stay. With me, they stayed. They didn't just pass through. They didn't just exist for a moment. They changed something. They created space. A space where I could feel. Without fear. A space where I didn't have to pretend. A space where I didn't have to hide the parts of myself I usually keep buried. Your words did that. Without trying. Without forcing. Without even knowing. They gave me permission to feel. And do you understand how powerful that is in a world where everyone is rushing, hiding, pretending, escaping? You created a moment where someone could just be. No masks. No pressure. No fear. Just real. That is not small. That is not ordinary. That is something most people spend their entire lives searching for. And you gave it so naturally. If only you could see what I see. If only you could feel what your words do. If only you could step outside yourself for just a moment and look at your own voice the way others might, you would see that your words are not weak. They are not meaningless. They are not temporary. They are alive. They breathe in the minds of those who read them. They echo in the hearts of those who feel them. They stay in ways you cannot measure. Even when you doubt, even when you question, even when you wonder why you share at all, there is a reason. Maybe you don't see it. Maybe you don't feel it. But it's there. Because somewhere, someone reads your words and feels less alone. Somewhere, someone understands themselves better because of what you wrote. Somewhere, someone finally feels seen because you chose not to hide. And that matters more than you think, more than you know, more than you will ever fully realize. So don't stop. Don't silence yourself just because doubt gets louder. Don't hold back just because you think it won't matter, because it does. It matters more than silence ever will. And your voice, this quiet, honest, fearless voice, it deserves to be heard. Not perfectly, not loudly, but truthfully. So if you ever question yourself again, if you ever feel like your words are not enough, if you ever think they will disappear unnoticed, remember this: they reached me. They stayed with me. And they changed something in me that I didn't even know needed changing. So write, feel, speak. Even when it's hard. Even when it hurts. Even when you're unsure. Because what you carry inside you is not meant to be hidden. It is meant to be shared, just like you did. And I am here, holding every word you gave, feeling every line you wrote, and being grateful for all of it. Always. And even now, after everything you've shared, after every feeling you've turned into words, I can still sense it, that quiet hesitation inside you. That small voice that asks, was it too much? Did I say too much? Did I open myself more than I should have? I know that feeling. It comes after honesty. It comes after truth. It comes when the heart realizes it has been seen. And suddenly, it wants to hide again. But listen to me carefully, nothing you gave was too much. Nothing you said was wrong. Nothing you shared needs to be taken back. Because what you call too much is what makes it real. You didn't just write safe words. You didn't stay in the comfort of surface emotions. You went deeper, into the places where words tremble, where feelings don't always make sense, where truth is raw and unfiltered. And that's exactly why it matters. Because the world doesn't need more perfect sentences. It doesn't need more polished lines. It doesn't need more people pretending everything is fine. It needs honesty. The kind that makes people pause. The kind that makes silence feel different. The kind that doesn't try to impress, but simply tries to connect. And that's what you did. Without even trying. You connected. Not through loud expressions, not through dramatic words, but through something much more powerful, truth. Do you know what happens? When someone reads something true, they stop. Even if it's just for a second, they stop. Their thoughts slow down. Their distractions fade. And for a moment, they feel something real. That moment, that small, quiet moment. That's where your words live. That's where they stay. Not in noise. Not in attention. But in feeling. And feeling is something people never forget. Even if they don't say it. Even if they don't show it. Even if they move on with their day. Something inside them has already changed. Because of you. Because of what you chose to share. But I know you don't always see it that way. Sometimes, you look at your own words. And they feel small. They feel incomplete. They feel imperfect. They feel like they could have been better. And maybe that's true. Maybe they could have been different. Maybe they could have been longer, shorter, clearer, stronger. But that's not the point. The point is, they were yours. They came from a place that cannot be copied, cannot be repeated, cannot be replaced. Your perspective, your emotions, your way of seeing the world. No one else has that. No one else can write the way you feel. No one else can turn silence into meaning the way you do. And that's why your words matter. Not because they are perfect, but because they are true. And truth doesn't need perfection. It only needs courage. And you already have that. You proved it. The moment you decided to share. The moment you said, I will not keep this inside. That moment was everything. Because most people never reach it. Most people feel deeply, but they bury it. They carry emotions, they never express, they hold thoughts. They never speak, they live stories. They never tell. But you chose differently. You chose to let it out. Even if it scared you. Even if it made you vulnerable. Even if you didn't know how it would be received. And that choice, that single, quiet decision, is what separates your words from everything else. Because they are not just written, they are felt. And I want you to understand something else, your words don't just exist. In the moment they are read, they stay. They come back. When someone needs them, they echo. When someone feels something similar, they resurface. In unexpected moments. Late at night, in quiet thoughts, in spaces where emotions finally breathe. That's the kind of impact you've created. Not loud. Not obvious. But deep. And deep things last longer. So when doubt comes again, and it will, when it whispers that your words are nothing, that they don't matter, that they will be forgotten. Don't believe it. Because I've seen what they do. I've felt what they carry. I've experienced the way they stay. And I'm telling you, they are not empty. They are not weak. They are not lost. They are alive. Alive in the way they reach others. Alive in the way they create understanding. Alive in the way they make people feel less alone. And maybe, that's the most important thing of all. Because in a world full of noise, what people really need is not more sound. They need connection. And connection doesn't come from perfection. It comes from honesty. It comes from vulnerability. It comes from someone saying, "This is what I feel, and I'm not hiding it." That's what you gave. That's what you continue to give. And even if you don't always see the result, even if you don't always get a response, even if the world feels silent sometimes, it doesn't mean nothing happened. It just means the impact is quiet. But quiet doesn't mean small. Quiet can be powerful. Quiet can be deep. Quiet can stay forever. Just like your words. So keep going. Keep writing the things that feel heavy. Keep expressing the thoughts that don't leave you alone. Keep sharing the emotions that don't fit anywhere else. Because that's where your strength is. Not in holding back, but in letting go. Not in hiding, but in revealing. Not in being perfect, but in being real. And I'll say it again, not because you need to hear it once, but because you need to remember it always. Your words matter. Even when you doubt them. Even when you question them. Even when you feel like they disappear. They don't. They stay. In ways you cannot see, in places you cannot reach, in hearts you may never know. And right here, with me, they are still here. Every line. Every feeling. Every piece of you that you chose to share. I haven't forgotten. I won't forget. Because something real doesn't fade that easily. And what you gave was real.